Hello, guys. My name is Chris Onia. I'm the founder and visionary of Metatrekkers. Metatrekkers, where we're born and raised in Dcentral land. We're also in Sandbox, and we're also on the other side. Today, we're getting ready to have a forum today with these very important guest speakers about the future of the metaverse, different events. Before we get started, maybe we can have, would you like for me to introduce each and every one of you guys, or maybe you guys can say one or two sentences about yourself, a quick introduction for the audience so they can get more familiar with you all? 100%. Is that okay?
Do it.
Okay, so who would like to be the lovely gentleman? Guy with the mic. All right, let's do it.
Guy with the mic. This is put it on my tombstone. That's the only thing to remember about me. Hey, everyone. Can I get like a little high, a little
there you go.
Back?
Come on.
Hey.
Guys, let's give a round of applause, guys.
Yeah,
come on.
Thank you. Hype me up here a little bit. Honor and a privilege to be here. I'm Jacob from Spatial, not to be confused with Jake from Spatial, who's also in the front row, our director of community. For those that don't know, so I'm our head of growth, lead our strategic partnerships, our marketing, and our community efforts. Been with Spatial for 4 years. Before that, I was an investor at Samsung Next and invested in Spatial. And then tale as old as time, fell in love with our portfolio company and joined full time. Spatial, how do you describe it? It's basically like Winwood in 3D. If you're a creator or an artist, you're into culture, come in, build a really dope experience in Spatial, and then build your community in Spatial and share it with the world. So we've had 2 million users over the last 12 months. Spatial's totally free for anyone to use. So we don't sell land or issue a token, although we are integrated with ETH, Solana, and Polygon. And we're totally cross-platform. So use us in web, in mobile, and VR all together. So if you want to build something beautiful, fun, insanely easy to use, come to spatial.io. That's it. Thank you.
Guys, before we move on to Caleb, I just have a quick question. How many of you guys have heard of Spatial? Let's see those hands. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. All right.
I love it.
There you go. There you go.
I'm going to pretend like that was 100% of the even though we'll say it was 80%.
What we're going to do is I'm going to leave around about 5-10 minutes at the end before we close out. I'm going to leave it to the audience so you guys will be able to ask these amazing speakers questions about their platforms. But thank you, Jacob. Let's hand it over to Caleb. And Caleb, let's hear about your initiative.
Hello. How do I follow that up?
Dude, I'm going to leave the stage. Just no pressure. You got this.
All right, so I'm Caleb Applegate. Pleasure to be here with you all. So I started my journey in film actually as a producer, which led, I like to say that my story is straight with very crooked lines. And so started as a film producer, moved into gaming, the gaming space, helped set up the Minecraft marketplace with my server, Mineplex. For those of you who have played Minecraft in the past, we were one of the top servers. And lo and behold, through that, met these guys at DEGEN who had a CMS for over 250,000 gaming servers, and started working with the founders there. At DEGEN, I was there for 4 years as the chief operating officer. But wait, there's more. It was towards, I'd say this summer, I connected with these guys at Passage, started advising. I was blown away with the digital immersive experience they had created, working with clients like Warner Brothers, Amazon Studios, Capitol Records, Dallas Cowboys, and the list goes on. And I thought, man, this is compelling because it's done well. And as a company that has invested in building, like that is a primary target for me of interest. If you can build and build intelligently, that's really compelling. And so joined the Passage team as CEO back in July, and we're doing some incredible things that I would love to tell you all about later. But I'm going to pass it on to my colleagues here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Caleb. Guys, can we give Caleb a round of applause? Come on, man. There we go. Thank you so much. The next person I'd like to introduce, it was a very interesting story. Me and a good friend of mine, Biometa, we're walking on stage. We're walking to the hotel, and I see an individual. I'm like, he looks really, really familiar. He starts calling my name. Hey, Chris. And I was like, is that Gio Franco? He's like, yeah. So I would like to welcome Gio Franco. We spoke earlier in the week, just kind of prepping up for this panel. He's also a sponsor
How are you guys? Welcome to Miami. Woo!
Bienvenido.
It's a lovely city. It's a lovely city. It's my city. Actually, I'm based here in Miami. I am Gianfranco, the co-founder and president of Metaverse. So we are creating the Metaverse, simple, fun, and accessible for all. Actually, we're giving away free land and free houses to everyone. So pass over our booth. Just click on the link on the QR code and get your land there. So
does the houses have water and food?
It will have water, food, bed, everything. So actually, we're launching in March next year. Just a little bit about my story. So, starting the blockchain space 10 years ago, actually it was 2012. I was grandfathered in Miami in the crypto space. I started with the crypto when no one knew what crypto was in Miami. So, I'm glad that Miami is the crypto capital of the world. I'm here. So, in 2017, I started just because crypto was my hobby, but I'm a marketer. So, how can I run ads in the metaverse? And back in the days, it wasn't even called Metaverse. So we call it VR and AR. So I was looking for ways how to run ads. Back in the days was the booming of the ICOs, ERC20 tokens here and there. It wasn't until late 2021, beginning 2022, with my team in DACHA, we created Venview, which is the ad network platform for the Metaverse. And when we have this robust ad network platform that we can run ads across all the metaverses out there, but there was a problem. What was the problem with the metaverse?
I guess it wasn't mainstream yet, right?
There's no one there. Oof. So
we call it DAU. Who knows what DAU means?
What DAU means?
Our job, talk to us. Daily active users.
There you go. So that's why we pivoted to Metaverse, just to create a simple, fun, and accessible for everyone, So thank you guys for having me here. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Go.
I guess in the last person I wanted, they say save the best for last, right? I shouldn't
Just got to say that. You stole my line, but that's all right.
I spoke to Rohan as well earlier this week. I was really impressed. Like I said, MetaTrekkers, we're also in the other side. I think he also, just like the other three individuals, has an amazing story. So Rohan, if you can, give a brief introduction to the audience and let's have them hear you. But before he does anybody know the other side? Who's familiar with the other side? Okay. He's going
100%.
to inform you all.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Pleasure to be here and glad to be here with these amazing panelists on the stage here. Quick introduction, Rohan Honda. I'm the founding team member and the head of business development and strategy at Horizon Lab Ventures. We are a tiny little startup with big ambitions. If you've heard of ApeCoin launch, we were the launch contributors who worked very closely with the Yuga Labs team for the ApeCoin launch, the NFT, the other side NFT drop, and more recently, the Ape staking platform. But that's not all. We also work with a bunch of amazing AAA gaming studios. We have a lot of handiwork in the metaverses in general. We work with Sandbox, and excited to bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 companies. And we are set up as providing end-to-end services to clients and projects and partners that work with us. My journey, like most of you all sitting here, has not been linear. I come from a very traditional fintech financial services background. So my motive and focus has always been how to build solid, viable business models that can be scaled. So that's the experience that I've, yielded on over the years that I've worked in bringing to Web3 and hopefully connecting the dots and learn from everyone out here. So glad to meet you all.
Thank you, Rohan. And I just want to correct myself as well. Yeah, Horizon Lab Ventures. The other side is one of their projects. They have many, so I want to correct myself as well. So what I would like to speak with, what I would like for all of us to do now is just kind of make this like a little light discussion. I prepared some questions that I think that maybe the audience or maybe people in general would be interested in. I will raise the questions, and any of you guys could answer them, or if you all want, you can answer them one by one. I'm going to keep it to a minimum of 4 or 5 max. I really have 100, but I'm going to keep it to a minimum, and I really want for us to get engaged with the audience. I think that's where I think this session should come from, because the audience, they all came out here to support you guys. So I want to make sure we love you guys. We love you guys.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Come on. There you go.
Applaud
There
for
you
yourself,
go.
audience. You're the real star.
There you go. So I think the first question I'd like to ask, just as an introduction, is what does the metaverse mean to each and every one of you guys up here? Everybody has this. I mean, to each his own. Every individual has their own meaning of the metaverse. So I'd just like, if you guys can, in a sentence or two, just let me know, or let the audience know, what does the metaverse mean to you guys?
Good question.
That is a good question.
Okay, what does a metaverse mean? I like to lead with a spicy take, and then I kind of like to wash it down with like a normal kind of cold taste. So my spicy take is that like the capital M metaverse is complete and utter bullshit, and mostly marketing mumbo jumbo to get people really excited about things that have no value. But I'll say that's my spicy. Let it like wash down a little bit. Okay. My like more cool take on this is I think that basically the internet has become more and more boring, right? I think with Web 2, we're increasingly encountering the same experience over and over and over again. And I think a lot of people feel this itch to say that there are elements of certain experiences that we've had, whether it's playing a game or whether it's participating in a social network, where something feels a lot more engaging and a lot more meaningful than just going to like a flat website that you'll bounce from within 2 seconds. And so what I think the metaverse really is it's the combination of two things. On the experiential side, I think it's the internet evolving to become more immersive and more social than it's ever been before, and that takes a lot of different shapes or forms. And then at the same time, I also think, because there are converging trends here, that part of what happened with Web 2 was that people got a lot of stuff for free and they didn't ask questions. And then over time, people became educated and they realized that the trade-off that we were all making in Web 2 that we didn't realize that was that we were the product. We were getting products for free, but in reality, we were the product at the same time. And so I think there's been a rising consciousness about the value of ourselves in the web landscape and the value of our data and the value of intellectual property ownership. And I think as more and more people have been leaning in to being creative themselves, people have been more and more conscious of how important it is to wrestle with these issues, and they recognize that like Web 2 business models put them at risk. And so that is a dovetailing trend where as people, because the first people that are the most interested in building a more immersive and social internet tend to come from creative fields, at the same time, I think people are really, really interested in intellectual property ownership. They're really, really interested in privacy, and I think they recognize that decentralization can be a technical solution that protects their own value in that developing ecosystem. So that's like capital M, what the metaverse means. For Spatial, for us, what the metaverse means is putting creators before anything else. All we care about from the perspective of the metaverse and all we build are the tools that our creators and our community needs in order to build really, really amazing and compelling immersive and social experiences that inspire people. And so that can be anything for us from working on making spaces way more immersive and fun, right? Like, being able to do something beyond just standing around and talking to people. But sometimes it's more boring stuff like infrastructure, and it's integrating with things like ETH and Polygon and Solana, which it's cool, but it isn't necessarily gonna blow people's minds the day that you do it, right? And I think that makes for us, the metaverse, our path is pursuing Web 2.5, and I think it's really making the metaverse accessible and something that anyone can build on today, instead of worrying about what the capital M metaverse will be 10 to 15 years from now when we're all, living in some virtual world and riding polar bears around in 3D or whatever your vision of that is. So I think that was fair, right? Like spicy take with a little bit of cold water after. Can I get a little support, round of applause for that? Thank you.
So I want to expand on that. I think you hit a couple of things really spot on. But I want to ask a question first. When was the last time you discussed metaverse with a friend, a family member, a colleague? What did they say? What did they think it was?
You didn't know.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, did anybody hear a proper response from their friend, family member, or colleague? No, because it's so undefined. And here's part of the issue. We were talking backstage about stickiness. What we're doing at Passage is trying to think through how to make something intertwined, synthesized with the physical world. Here's what the metaverse is not. It is our thesis that the metaverse is not a gigantic MMO, and you and your families are sitting on your couch wearing an Oculus doing this. That's what it's not. There is value in it. I agree 100% with what you're saying. The value's in Web3. It's in ownership. It's in your relationships. It's in the stuff that you own, and it goes with you where you go. But it has to synthesize with the physical world. It has to be integrated with our everyday lives. At Passage, we believe we're physical human beings and we exist in relationship with one another. There's value in having coffee and looking across at your friend in the eye. And so what we want to do is create immersive experiences that always bring you back to the physical world. That excites us because that has purpose. It has deep meaning. It isn't the quick dopamine hit on TikTok, right? And you're just scrolling. What we're building, we've brought in some of the world's leading experts in terms of gamification, user behavior, user engineering. So we're really excited because everything that we do at Passage has purpose behind it.
Thank you, Caleb. Man, you make me want to go into Passage now. All right, how about you two individuals?
Yeah. So you guys touch a lot of my points. Also, I just want to add that the metaverse is more like the next step of the internet. Okay. So and it's here just to make the life easier to people, because if you think about it, how difficult it is to read. I don't know if you guys buy anything in IKEA, how difficult it is to read the instructions. You know, you probably build something and then you have to tear it apart because you built it the wrong way. And just imagine a way that you can have a tutorial of how to build that IKEA table, right? The right way from the right time in the first try. Just giving step by step how to do it. Even if I don't know how many of you play golf, but just imagine doing a swing. It's hard to see how that looks like in the YouTube video. But if you see someone just doing the right thing in front of your eyes, you can gonna have that right from the first time. So it means it's gonna be an internet, but it's gonna be immersed. Okay, it's gonna be the social media 3.0, 5.0, however you want to call it. That instead of scrolling down, you're gonna be immersed. You watch pictures. You're gonna interact with people. It's gonna be more fun. I don't mean that the metaverse is gonna be like. Of course, there are games, metaverse gaming out there, but the actual metaverse is like the internet, but more immersed. You know.
Real talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just, I'll take a different take here, because what I hear, and this is kind of the common theme when people talk about metaverse, they each has its own meaning attached to it. But just to take you a little bit behind in the history, the coinage of the word metaverse happened circa 1990 in a book called Snow Crash. So science fiction tends to be the future seeing. The authors tend to be more future living than most of our technologists are. So 30 years ago, the term metaverse was coined. And what it really boils down to, what metaverse is experience augmentation. You may or may not realize we are already living in metaverse, and AR and a VR goggle has nothing to do with it. So the term that you really want to focus on is third place. Third place is essentially a sociological term which defines where you spend time in the order of priority. Your first place is your home. Your second place is your office or workplace. Your third place is where you spend the next most amount of time in any given day. Metaverse, whether it be on a gaming platform or whether it be a retail store on Amazon or whether it be a mall, they're all experiences that humans crave for, and metaverse is a way to augment that experience. Starbucks started with the same format. Their brick and mortar strategy was have everything, not just coffee. They started with books, then they added music. So you spend more time, hence you spend more money. What Metaverse does, using the blockchain technology, is tie all of these differentiated experiences in a single interoperable layer, right? Whether it be using Ethereum or be using Cosmos or Polygon, whatever. There's a medium of exchange that allows you to spend more and more time in that third place. And that's what really Metaverse is. The Metaverse is. There will be metaverses that are adjacent to it that will provide different kind of augmenting experience for your games, for your retail experience, for your public goods, and so on and so forth. So I think to point where what is metaverse? Yes, it's a marketing mumbo jumbo, and it's not new. It's almost 3 decades old at this point. I think it's important to go a few layers deeper to understand what metaverse really is. And for me, all it really means is an augmented experience. The tools and the technologies are changing, nothing else. You can keep building businesses around it, keep providing that unique user experience. That's what really matters, and that DAU ties in beautifully once you are able to provide that unique experience to your users.
Thank you, Rohan. Rohan, you got into a little philosophy over there, man. I like it. Thank you, guys. So the very interesting thing about what each individual said is that the metaverse has its own definition. Like it's to each his own. Everybody looks at the metaverse in their own way. There is no correct way. The metaverse is what we make of it. I want to play a little game with the panelists right now because I'm messing with I'm engaging with some juggernauts, some big experts. And so I prepared actually 4 questions, but I don't think we're going to be able to hit all 4 questions because, they have a lot of knowledge with it. So we're going to play a game, these 4 questions. Each individual can answer one of the questions. So it just means one question for each individual. We're going to do a tag you're it. Whoever gets it first can speak on it. That way we can still have time for the audience. Is that okay?
Hell yeah.
So one question,
Lightning.
whoever wants to go first, they can do it. And then Caleb, you are ready. You got the mic.
He's ready to tap the button. He's like,
He's ready. Make sure your mics are on, all right? So the first question I want to ask is, I hear a lot of times, especially like in the crypto market, they said, "Man, is it too late? Did I make the trend or did I make the wave?" So the question I have now is, when you guys first started, how was the metaverse? When you first started, how is it now, and where do you think it's going? I know when I first started in the metaverse in Dcentral land, it was empty. It wasn't really there. People were still building. Now I see a lot more builds. I see a lot more engagement. I see a lot more community building. And I also see where the platform Dcentral land is investing in the community, so I can see that the infrastructure, where it's going. So any one of you guys can answer it, but where was the metaverse when you first started? Where is it now, and where do you see it going in the future?
I can answer that.
Wow, that was too quick.
Yeah.
You didn't even give me. Go.
Well, like I said at the beginning, so when I started in 2017, even though the term was written by Neil Stephenson in that book in 1991, it wasn't called Metaverse in 2017. It was called VR AR thing. So I was part of the ICO of Dcentral, which was the first one. It was in April 2018. So I was more involved in centralized metaverses back in the days. So when Dcentral came out, I liked the idea. They promoted Dcentral for a couple of months, and I thought it was a great idea. And that is when my switch turned on. So how can I run ads in the metaverse? So where the metaverse is now is we have like 300 metaverses out there, completely different one to each other. One looks cartoony, one looks really great. One decentralized, centralized metaverses. So they're completely different, But one common thing is that there's no one there. It could be because they look cartoony, and actually it's gonna be impossible to mass adopt something that looks cartoony. It's impossible. Second, you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars just to get a land. So it's gonna be impossible to mass adopt. Probably people here that knows about the Web3, we have like Metaverses land. But if we want to talk with a friend or with my mom or with my father or whoever, they don't understand what the metaverse is. How can they pay tens of thousands of dollars because of that? So just to the metaverse itself, just to get mass adopted, it has to be simple, okay? It has to be simple that regular people out there in the streets, they have phones, right? I think like 90-something% of the people have phones. Why don't we create metaverses that isn't an app in your phone that you can go to your land, own something, because that's part of the Web3, owning something. But the success for the metaverse is just to bring people to the Web3 without them knowing they're on the Web3. Okay, that's the key to be mass adopted. So where the metaverse is going is like I'm telling you right now is 1995, and I'm talking about the internet. You know, you're looking back and you start laughing just to see what people were saying back in 1995 about the internet. You know, that's the metaverse. The metaverse is the future. So it could be cartoony, not cartoony. It could be a game, gonna be a game, but metaverse is here to stay.
Perfect.
And 2023 gonna be the years of the metaverse.
Wow, 2020.
Three.
2023. Okay.
2023. Mark my words.
All right. The next question, guys. And let's try to keep this, if we can, maybe within a minute, so that way we can still give the audience time. We got like 6 more minutes. The next question is this: currently, right now, MetaTrekkers is streaming this conference inside Decentraland. So you guys are being streamed in Decentraland. Avatars are looking at you all right now and probably taking pictures of you all. So wave to them. But the question I have now, and this is from a good friend of mine, Melanie Gerald, is how do we now differentiate between the metaverse and YouTube? Because when we're playing videos in the metaverse, we're like right now we're streaming this in the metaverse. People are just saying, hey, we can do this on YouTube. Or if you watch movies, hey, I can do this on YouTube. So how do you guys feel the metaverse will replace YouTube? If somebody comes to you and say, hey, I can do this in YouTube, what can we say to them to rebuttal what they said?
Well, I'll take that one. So when you're watching a YouTube video, it's transactional. You're consuming something with, I hate to use the word metaverse even. But if we're talking metaverse, we're just saying digital immersive augmented reality, right? It's an event, it's purposeful. There's a reason that you're there, number one. And number two, you're engaging with community. And I think that's really important here. When you're watching a video, you might be engaging with community, but in different formats. When you're in that experience, there's natural buy pressure. If there's a physical drop, an NFT drop, if there's tickets being sold for something, and that again has to connect back to the physical world. That's where this becomes meaningful and sticky with audiences. So there is a huge difference, and the difference is purpose. The difference is participation. The difference is it's just not transactional. Yep.
How do I get to the Passage Metaverse?
Can I say what we're doing at Passage? Just really fast. I know we're short on time. So Passage is your open world. What we're doing is a huge, huge undertaking, but it's super cool, enough that I left Engine to come do this. So essentially, we are aggregating worlds. You might already have a metaverse or a digitally immersive world you can easily plug in via our API. So we're working with some huge brands that we'll be announcing in the coming weeks. One is the largest retail gaming operator in the world. And what we want to do is tie that into physical experiences. So whether you have a store, whether you have already just a physical following, or a theme park, right? We want that physical connection there. So at Passage, you can either join one of these worlds or create one of your own. So it really is social with a Shopify component. And because of my Minecraft background, helping build the Minecraft marketplace, we see huge opportunity for mods to come in and create custom worlds, custom wearables for your for your avatars. So yeah.
I'm sorry. He just gave me 2 minutes.
Yeah.
We got less than 2 minutes. I'm so sorry, guys. We got to speed this up. I want to at least get 1 or 2 questions from the audience. We got to speed this up.
Should we just jump to audience questions? Should we just do it?
You want to do it?
Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay,
let's
guys. I want to get the
go.
audience. Wow, we already got one person. Is this Matt? Perfect. Matt is from Decentraland, legend in Decentraland. Matt, stand up and let's let the panelists
Take a
hear.
bow, Matt.
My question is from the metaverses here. Are any of them open source? And if not, why?
Oh man, I'd love to jump on that. So that's a juicy question. So the answer for spatial is like yes and no. So for the no part, I mean, like the main part of our IP is not open source, and I'll be like super honest about it. Like, we're a venture-backed company. Like at the end of we're not a DAO. Like at the end of the day, we're not really prioritizing monetization right now, but at some point, our goal is to be like a profit-driven company. So the core stack, we haven't made open source, but at the same time, we have done 2 things. So one is we work really closely with other metaverse platforms to ensure that we just adopt open standards. So the idea that essentially what you build on spatial, you could take anywhere, and if you keep it in spatial, you only do so for merit. That's really important to us. And then the second thing is, I would say that for things that are builder facing, we're increasingly making our tooling open source. So I don't want to I'll give a little bit of alpha here. We're dropping some kind of SDK very, very soon that will actually be open source.
That's big alpha.
I'm not going to say what or what it's going to look like, but stay tuned. But essentially, that's before the end of this year, and that's precisely because, for the perspective of builders, we really do want to ensure that they're able to share best practices, take the best tooling, layer on top of one another, improve it if they can, bring it to other platforms. And so, it's a yes or no. I think that's always been our approach at Spatial, is we try to maintain balance. We are trying to succeed as a company independently, but in order for us to succeed, creators need to succeed, and in order for creators to succeed, we need to support open source programming, and we need to support open standards as much as humanly possible.
All right, guys, man, I really want you to speak as well. They just gave me, they said, if we don't stop, they're going to kick us off. Let's do this. I'm sorry.
One more question.
Hey, no, let's do it. Hold on. We're not. Let's do this. What we're gonna do, if you guys don't mind, is after we finish this, maybe we can go out in the middle. To auditorium. Outside, and you guys can come and ask them questions. I just want to be respectful and mindful of the stage's time because they have more people coming as panelists. Is that okay, guys? Okay. So what we do? Let's stand up and take a picture. We can stand up and take a picture with everybody. We're going to show, this picture is going to signify that regardless of what metaverse you're from, regardless of where you are, we're still united. All right?